Hey, just another announcement before we get started on today's daily video. Another schedule change. The new daily video schedule will be Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Again, just like I was talking about in the last video, this is to just kind of get things organized a bit, get into more of a regular schedule, and allow me the time to create other videos. So for the daily video series, it'll be Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, but I will be creating other videos and other resources as well in the other days and the other times. So stay tuned for all of that. So for today, we have a old SAT question. So go ahead and try this one. There are 20 students in a music class. 12 play piano and 18 play guitar. How many play only the piano? So for questions like these, you have to be very careful with the language, with the way these questions are set up. They have a particular, I guess you can call it vocabulary, or particular way of setting up the problem that you have to be aware of in order to do these successfully. And it comes down to kind of what we see at the end of this problem, where it says how many play only the piano, and notice before they tell us that 12 play piano, so what's the difference? And we'll talk about that in a second. But for questions like these, the best way to handle them is set up a Venn diagram, that's interlocking circles. The first circle will label the piano players. The second circle will label the guitar players. Now this overlap is where you're going to put the number of players that play both piano and guitar. Of course, it's the overlap between these two circles. Now you got to be very careful here. I like doing it with Venn diagrams because you get to see it visually. Well, how else could you see it, I guess? But you get to see it, and it makes it a little bit less abstract and a little bit easier to follow. So if we're looking at this whole circle, which is the people who play both instruments and the people who play only piano, which is just this portion of the circle. But this whole circle is going to be the number of people who play piano, period, whether they play just the piano or play both. So we're going to label this is 12. This is 12, or sorry, 12. 12 play piano, so 12 is going to go in this circle. Now, this circle then is going to be the number of people who play guitar, and that is 18, according to the problem. What we want to know is basically how many play only the piano. So essentially, we want to know this region, not counting the overlap. So really what we need to do is find the overlap. And here's the trick. Notice if I add 12 and 18, I get 30, which doesn't really at first seem to make sense because we have 20 students in the class. How could I have 30 students here accounted for in the piano and guitar when I only have actually 20 students in this class? The issue is when you're adding 12 and 18, you're adding these two circles together. One way to think about it is you're taking this circle, which is the only and the overlap, and you're adding it to this circle, which is guitar only and the overlap. So what's happening is you're adding the overlap twice, whereas really you just need to add it, of course, once in order to get the total number of students. So when you add the people who play piano and the people who play guitar, because you're counting that overlap in both of these cases, you're adding that overlap twice. So the trick is if you subtract the total number of students, which in this case is 20, you're going to be left with an excess, and that excess represents exactly the overlap. So that means this is the overlap. 10 people play both, and since 18 play guitar, that must mean 8 play only the guitar, because notice 8 plus 10 is 18. And here then 2 must only play the piano, which by the way is the answer to our question, 2. But you can see here, we can see this based on the fact that when you add these two together, when you add these two circles, you're adding the overlap twice. You're double counting the people who play both. So when you subtract the total and you get 10, that's going to be your overlap. That's the people who play both. And then you can go ahead and figure out who plays just the piano, who plays just the guitar. And in this case, we get us 2. So as you can see, the key here is the language. The difference between knowing when you say 12 play piano, it means people who play only piano and both. And in the question here, we want to find the people who play only the piano, which is only this sector of the Venn diagram. So keep in mind that difference in the language and the vocabulary of the question. Set up your Venn diagram, and you'll have no problem on questions like this.
To learn more about Reason Prep's SAT, SAT subject test, and ACT video courses, go to reasonprep.com/enroll, and you can find the link in the description below the video.